House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Okay, everybody, hello. This is House to Home, where we bring you interesting information, and what information that you couldn't use is interesting. Like we're bringing you stuff for your consideration. Keep it in the back of your mind, apply it, use it, get the house of your dreams, close good deals, make money, and we are very, very fortunate because of the power of Zoom, which, by the way, turned 14 today, so happy birthday, Zoom, to Kim Anderson, who joins us today from the road in the Golden State. So, hi, Kim. I hope you're staying warm out there.
Hi. Hi, Jason. Oh, I'm in the desert. It's definitely warm.
Oh, okay. Okay, and Liz and Gina are at their offices. A little bit of Wi-Fi issues earlier and everything, but the internet quality is perfect right now.
Well, hopefully it doesn't crap out on us.
Well, hopefully, yeah, and speaking of quality, we want to kind of pedal back to what Kim was talking about last week and some of these rules and some of the additional policies because Kim, you are an expert in the area of title and escrow and everything. These are very, very esoteric disciplines. They're necessary. They are a big part of the transactional pipeline that goes into real estate deals and everything. But maybe let me start out. I'll ask the first question. What type of skills does one typically have if one wants to be involved in escrow and be very good at it as you are?
Well, thank you. That was awfully kind. It is absolutely a work in progress, and we learn something new every day, which lights my fire. But in the title and escrow business, we basically have two sides. The title research side are there are kind of our thinkers, and they're the people who figure out the chain of title. Their workspace is pretty quiet, and it's a work in progress as they follow the chain and figure out the mysteries behind each title. To property. And then there's what I call our adrenaline junkies. And our adrenaline junkies are the ones that are involved in the escrow closing. And what happens with them is everything is very calm and going along. A realtor sells a property, brings it in. We quietly start working on clearing the title. And then inevitably, the stuff gets very hectic and people want to close at the last minute, or something big comes up that can't be overlooked or that needs some real curative action. And so our adrenaline junkies, which are our escrow officers and our escrow support, they're on board with the realtors, with bankers, with appraisers, with surveyors, all trying to figure out and rush to the finish line to get this job done and to get the people into their new house. So that's kind of the division of labor within our company.
Very nice. Okay, now, Gina, would you classify Kim and her colleagues and what they do? Are they necessarily customer facing, or does everything still funnel through you as the agent and as the realtor? And with Kim's expertise and her work and everything like that, it allows you to service the customer directly.
No, we're kind of like Batman and Robin. You can't get
Or
the
there's
job
that.
done without each other. It takes the realtor and the escrow working together to get to the finish line. You're not going to be able to walk that walk on your own. You need your escrow team. And the reason being is they're the ones that they're identifying, like if it's my listing, they're taking a look at the seller's property, and they're making sure that when we get to the finish line, what the seller hands off to the buyer is clean and clear as much as they could possibly make it so. And they hand it off that way. And that's where okay, here it is. It's clean and clear. And here's your insurance because you agreed to pay for it. And that's what we were talking about last episode is, the buyers that agree to pay for the title insurance. So they hand it off with that bundle of insurance. And it's like, okay, go team, go. The buyer's happy, the seller's happy, and Batman and Robin are happy.
Okay, so I would like to interject. If we're Robin, we still need you out there, Batman, because what we're looking at What we're looking at is paperwork, and you know the actual humans that are behind that, and you know the story of their lives and the story of their family. And many, many times we need to rely on you to get our story straight because sometimes what's on paper is not how it as it seems.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Kim, because last episode we were talking about why is title insurance important? And I want to share just a real short story about my case. I bought a piece of property and I did not close with your company. I closed with another company. It was, sometimes working these transactions, it typically is the buyer who chooses where to close, but in some cases, the seller has certain needs and says, I've got to go to this
Hmm.
company. And you're going to go along because you want to buy the property. So in my case, I bought a piece of property and the title report was clear as much as it could be. It was to me a clear title policy. I bought title insurance. And then years later, I'm doing something with my property. And in order to do whatever it is you're going to do, you first start off with a new title report just to make sure that while I owned it, I didn't mess something up. So I went ahead and ran the title report, and Security Title gave me the title report, and that title report was certainly not clear and clean. It wasn't. So I went back to them and I
Uh-oh.
said, "Oh, you guys made mistakes, Security Title, because here's a copy of my original title report, and these things that are on here are not during my time. It was before I bought it, but it didn't show on the old title report. And these are the things that you pay for, this is the reason you pay for title insurance." So, of course, this wasn't
Mhm.
Security Title that was, it wasn't on them to clean it up because it occurred before I bought it. The items on the title report were there before I bought it. So I went back to the title company that I had bought the title insurance from, and I said, "Here's a copy of the title report you gave me. Here's a copy of the title report today. And there's certainly something wrong, and this needs to be cleared up." And so I just want to emphasize the idea that the reason you want to get title insurance is not for what you know, it's for what you don't know, what they can't find. And so yeah, very important.
Yeah. And the title insurance is basically the owner's guarantee that they own it. And you can't get that any other way. You can't get it with a title report. You can't get it with a lender's policy. It has to be the owner's title insurance policy. That's the product that guarantees the owner that they actually own the property they think they just bought.
That's right.
Liz,
Yeah,
what are
they're
some? Well, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, Liz.
we've had different stories of people who encountered problems, and luckily they had title insurance. And I know when we took the class, um, the instructor had so many cases of what went wrong, and that how title insurance kind of helped. But even here on Guam, I know there was one situation where someone didn't get title insurance. They bought they got the lender's insurance, and something happened about the division of the property, and the boundary points were all wrong, and they had to do correction. But the problem there was the bank was covered, but the owner was not covered because she did not. So normally, when you close escrow, you can get the lender's insurance, which the bank requires, and then you have an option to get your own title insurance at a discount right at closing. And if you get it, then of course, other things that crop up will protect you. But in this particular case, the buyer did not get it. They were hunting to see hunting for their closing documents to find out what did they get? Because after years go by, you forget, did I get title
Yeah.
insurance? Or
Yeah.
yeah, what went with my paperwork? And they couldn't find the documentation. So as a result, they had to pay out of pocket to clean up the issues that cropped up. So those
Yeah.
are key. Those are key things that, as Gina puts it, the unknown. You're buying insurance for the unknown, and you
Yeah.
just never know.
Yeah. And that's what insurance is. I mean, even property and casualty is, for the fire that you hope doesn't happen, or the crash of your car that you hope doesn't happen.
That's right.
And Kim, the
So
the total value of the those insurance policies and everything like that is equal to the amount of the property being
it's
insured. Yeah,
it's
it's
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's not like
based,
life
it's a
insurance or something.
pro rata share. No,
Okay,
and it's a one-time shot. You
right.
pay one time at closing, and you're covered for the not only for the entire time that you own the property, but if you deed out the property, let's say I buy a property and I deed it out, I I sell it to you, Jason, and I give you a warranty deed, and that warranty deed guarantees that I'm giving you free, clear, and clear title. Even after I no longer own the property, you own it. If somebody knocks on your door and says, "Hey, I was left out of a probate," or there was fraud in the chain of title, and this is my property and I want it back. Even if you don't buy title insurance, if you sue me and I have title insurance, then my title insurance company will protect me. And uh, in relationship to that, they'll be protecting you and the buyer. But you don't know if the person before you had title insurance. And but anyway, what I'm saying is it probably the biggest advantage to having a title insurance policy is when someone um, makes a claim on your title. The the biggest coverage for me that a title insurance policy provides is the guarantee of legal counsel. They guarantee that your defense is there, and legal lawyers and lawsuits can run very expensive
That would be the lion's share of the expenses that you will have to incur, I would assume.
for
Yeah,
most.
I found out from the training was that you can buy title insurance at any time of your ownership, right, Kim?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if I if I bought a house 10 years ago, I could decide today I could come into your office and say, hey, please sell me title insurance. But of course, you would have to do a title report, a title research to make sure you record everything correct. That everything is that I am the
Yes,
owner.
and the yeah, and we would also, I think we would give you what's called an owner's affidavit to sign, and it basically says you're not aware of anything that's coming up to attack your title now. It's like, why would you want to buy it now when you didn't want before?
Yeah, yeah.
Kim,
And
I
there
have
are
a
a lot
question
of reasons.
because
There are a lot of reasons. Yeah.
last week I found something so fascinating, and I was even talking with Liz and Gina like after we got off the line last week about the fact of transferability of these title policies and everything. So and the way things work on Guam, like probate is such a big part of the real estate supply or not supply chain but ecosystem here. For better or worse, people families quarrel over property. People break the law. People go to witness protection. People die, and all of the different things and everything like that. Are these policies transferable between spouses, from parent to child, from like things like that, or you always have to take out a new policy if something should change?
Um, so that's a great question, Jason. That's a great question. And the answer is sometimes. So if a husband and wife own the property and they transfer it to an LLC, so it's John and Liz Duenas own the property, and they transfer it to John and Liz LLC. That title coverage stays with them. If they transfer it to the John and Liz Trust, that title insurance coverage stays with them. If they if one of them deeds it to another person, Liz Duenas transferred it to her son. So John and one of the kids is going to do something with the property. Liz transfers her interest to Peter. John's interest is still covered. So there's a lot of idiosyncrasies like this. Um, the every I think title insurance is more of an art than a science. Um, and you kind of have to take the whole big picture into account.
That's interesting. So, and we've talked so many times between Liz and Gina and I, and we've brought on, like our friend Mickey Flynn, who is an expert in estate planning and everything like that. But I don't think, ladies, correct me, in the decade that we've been doing this show, that we've ever talked about, like, as you're setting up your estate plan, you have to actually see if you have um, title policies that need to be transferred into that estate. I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Oh, I found out with Kim and the speaker was that the trust that we opened were protected because we deeded the property in what's the term? We deeded the property into the trust, and as a
You
result, now
funded. They
we
call it
funded
funding. Yeah.
we funded the trust with the property. We moved the property into the trust, and therefore that title insurance follows it into the trust. So it's the property is still protected.
But
That
Jensen, I just wanted to add with title insurance, it's kind of like, for those of us who had experience with malware and having to file claims, they may sell the same policy, but it boils down to the people behind who actually are here on the ground doing the work. You really need to get to know your escrow company and the title people that you're going to work with, because when something happens and you need to file that claim, you want the people that you're going to file with to be by your side and helping you address the issues and helping you find the solutions for the problem that comes up. And they may all sell the same policy, but I highly encourage everyone who's going to buy title insurance or who already has title insurance to dig out your policy, get to know the people that are going to be helping you with an issue that comes up, because when the issue comes up, that for me, that's the wrong time to get to know whoever it is that's behind that. Because what I experienced, here at Remax, when the typhoon hit, and having to help our customers who were probably not on island or were on island but didn't know how to file their claims and needed help with that, we found that, yeah, they all had coverage, but the amount of coverage and the way the coverage was processed and the people behind their policy, it was not all the same. And we found some companies to be much more helpful, and they really were standing behind their customers and making sure that their policies were in place and that they took care of their homes. And I imagine with title insurance having gone through a couple of issues myself, it boils down to the company you bought the policy from. Not so much, yeah, it's all one company or just a couple of companies, but it's the people here on the ground that have to help you that make the biggest difference, that give you the peace of mind. It's like, just take care of it. I know you're going to handle it. Call me when it's over. I don't need the details because it's scaring me already. I just want to know you cleared it up. And honestly, that's kind of what you pay for. And
it's like those people that when they go through surgery and everything like that, they're like, "Doc, just knock me out and wake me up when it's over."
wake me up when
That's
it's
right.
over.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, it really is kind of like the same principle, right? Kim, would you
I
agree?
think so. I think so.
I actually totally agree that it's the relationships that you build no matter what business. It's the people that you trust and the relationship and asking the right questions and trying to really understand.
I think the
And
the
like I
key
said,
the key is problem
uh,
solving. Yeah, whenever we have
yeah,
issues with a title report and not understanding it, we can go to the escrow officer and say, hey, here's a problem. How do you fix it? Or what needs to be done in order to get this handled? And the key
yeah.
is the expertise behind it and the ability to problem solve and knock it out of the ballpark so we can hit home runs by the time we close our escrow, our transactions.
Yeah. Get people in those houses.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And one more question, Kim, if I may, because, look, with the time difference and everything like that, you probably either want to go to Disneyland or, you just want to like enjoy the California sunset. But and admittedly, we've been talking in today's discussion and going back to like last week about residential homes because we've been talking about homeowners and passing between families and ownership. How much different or how much more complex and difficult is escrow when it comes to commercial property transactions, or is it easier? Just you just happen to be dealing with much larger pieces of properties with much larger values.
Okay, so it depends. We've had really complex residential properties, maybe say in Agania where they've got fractional lots and we're trying to put together little bits and pieces. Commercial building can be on that same sort of property. Um, for the most part, subdivisions have already worked out all the kinks. For the most part, not all. And then commercial transactions can be extremely, excruciatingly complex. But when you usually get into a commercial transaction, say a hotel or a golf course or something like that, you're usually dealing with seasoned professionals that, the attorneys, the realtors, they know what they're doing. So they make a complex commercial transaction seem easy.
There you go. So it's all about scale essentially.
And scale and experience.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's incredibly fortunate that we have had someone as experienced and just, to be frank, as nice as you are to explain it to us in such easy to digest terms and really drive home the fact that, title insurance really is something that you really, really do need because in the long run, it's really going to help you out and enjoy your property that much more.
Yeah, save money. Like I said, the biggest coverage I think is the duty to defend if anyone attacks. The attorney fees by itself can pay for it many times over.
There
But
you go.
thank you so much for being so kind. And title insurance is a pretty obscure thing that most people don't think about. So I really appreciate Gina and Liz and Jason, you digging in with me and talking about something that it's my jam. It's close to my heart, even though it's bizarre. So thank you guys.
Hey, but I'm the biggest nerd on Guam and everything, and I know the value of people that really geek out on certain things because it does make our community better when you have someone as learned as you are about this.
Thank you.
Okay, so ladies, another fantastic episode in the books. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Night, Kim.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.